Please check playlist for the full series.
Cross my heart in hopes to die. Welcome to my dark side.
Please join us on Patreon for episodes weeks in advance. These two celestial beings, two of the 12 angels sent out directly by the Grand Priest himself, had finally made their grand entrance to Earth. Their arrival wasn't just grand, it was a showstopper. The ongoing battle halted abruptly as if time itself had paused. All eyes were on them, but it was Abaddon whose reaction was most visceral. His face twisted into a mask of anger and rage. He recognized them immediately. These were the very angels who had played a pivotal role in the annihilation of the demon race eons ago. Lord Beerus, always the composed deity, couldn't hide his surprise at seeing the angels. His mind raced with questions. What could possibly bring these neutral beings to intervene so directly? He muttered under his breath, a hint of frustration lacing his voice. Surely they aren't here to take action. Angels are neutral, aren't they? So, what could have possibly happened in those past 2 years that I was locked away by those retread Sains? Confusion clouded his thoughts. Beerus, a being who loathed being out of the loop, felt uneasy amidst this mystery. In a moment that felt suspended in time, Conic, the angel of Universe 4, acted. With a movement as effortless as it was powerful, he tapped the staff in his hand gently against the Earth's surface. The tap, light and almost inaudible, belied the immense power it harbored. Instantaneously, the scene transformed. It was as if reality itself had been reshaped at the whim of the angel. In that fleeting moment, every warrior who had been part of the intense battle found themselves in a completely different location. Well, not quite. You see, gone were the familiar surroundings of Earth. However, this may be confusing, but they were still on Earth. The Earth itself was eaten up by Conic's temporal domain expansion. The Z-Fighters, Frieza, Lord Beerus, and even Abaddon, all were transported in the blink of an eye. Well, that's what it seems like. However, as mentioned before, they were still on Earth. Conic's domain expansion radius was just so freaking long. His domain expansion covers up the entire planet, meaning everyone on the planet was inside of his temporal domain expansion. The suddenness of the transition left them stunned as it happened before they could even think. A rare occurrence for warriors of their caliber. It was a stark reminder of the extraordinary powers wielded by the angels, beings whose abilities were beyond comprehension. In the blink of an eye, the air shifted dramatically. What was once a sweltering heat turned into an icy chill that took everyone by surprise. Among the stunned faces, one remained composed, yet intrigued. Lord Beerus, despite being caught off guard, recognized the sudden change. It was a rare ability, one that his own mentor, Whis, had invented eons ago. This technique was unique in its nature. This special skill, enveloped in mystery, was scarce even among the gods. For angels, the story wasn't too different. Only 5 of the 12 angels could use this ability: Whis, Margarita, Vados, Conic, and the Grand Priest himself. They could harness this power at will, but only under one particular rule. The wielder must possess the gift of eternal life. Throughout the cosmos's vast history, only a single god of destruction stumbled upon this power, and it was entirely by accident. This god was none other than Lord Champa himself, the fearsome god of destruction from Universe 6. His unique journey began during his god of destruction ceremony, where a mishap occurred. His soul didn't merge properly with the supreme Kai of his universe. This error left both him and his Kai in a state between life and death, causing Universe 6 to spiral towards decay and putting the delicate balance of the multiverse at risk. The angels had no choice but to step in. Facing a dilemma of cosmic proportions, Vados, with a mere fraction of her immense power, unleashed her angelic aura into the two beings. Her intervention bridged their souls, reviving them and, by extension, saving Universe 6 from collapse. As a side effect of this daring rescue, Champa inadvertently acquired the enigmatic ability. But there was a catch. Champa, unlike angels, wasn't immortal, and Champa knew that utilizing this power would mean his certain death. However, Even though this ability could one-shot many beings, we all know Champa is too much of a bitch to use it as he fears death more than anything. Now, you might be wondering, gods of destruction are deities, don't they already possess eternal life? The answer is both yes and no. True, eternal beings like the Kais are inherent divinities, born with their sacred powers. Unlike them, gods of destruction weren't always divine. There was a time when they were mere mortals, devoid of any divinity. To ascend to their divine status, their very being and essence had to be intertwined with that of the Supreme Kai. This fusion marked the beginning of their divinity, assigned rather than inherited. This is crucial because, unlike true deities who are born, gods of destruction have their divinity bestowed upon them. The process involves the Grand Priest linking these candidates with the Kais, who are the embodiment of true divinity. This ritual splits the divine blood and essence of the Kais, transferring it into the candidates. That is the genesis of a god of destruction. It's a transformation that goes beyond mere power, embedding the essence of the Kai's divinity into the very core of the candidates. Thus, why becoming a god of destruction is not a path one can embark on alone. It is a bestowed power, linking their fates to the eternal cycle of life and divinity. It sounds confusing, doesn't it? Well, let's clear it up. God of destruction, even with all their power, isn't immortal. They're not beyond the concept of aging and could, theoretically, pass away just like any mortal. The key difference, though, is that his brush with divinity, courtesy of the Kais, has drastically lengthened his lifespan. Conic! Beerus bellowed, disbelief and anger lacing his words. What are you doing? Do you want to die? He was well aware that angels, those enigmatic beings of immense power, were forbidden from meddling in mortal affairs without explicit orders from their designated overseers. Whether it be from their assigned god of destruction, the Grand Priest, or Zeno themselves, commands that were as rare as a peaceful day on earth. As Lord Beerus stood there, his mind raced. He initially suspected Conic was an emissary of Quidala, the crafty god of destruction from another universe known for his cunning and devious plots. Yet, something didn't add up. The Scion's words had pointed towards Quitella as the mastermind, but sending someone else to do his bidding. That didn't match Quitella's profile. In Beerus's mind, Quitella was too arrogant and too proud to delegate such a task. He would rather confront the matter head-on. But then, in the blink of an eye, the impossible happened. Conic took a step forward, and as his foot descended, it vanished as though the ground beneath him was nothing but an illusion. It was as if he stepped through a portal, a gateway that whisked him from one point to another in less than a heartbeat. Inside his domain expansion, his power was immeasurable. Lord Beerus, despite being in his formidable Ikari form, a state that transcended even the legendary Perfect Master Ultra Instinct, couldn't foresee Conic's movement. This wasn't just surprising. It was terrifying. Beerus, in his advanced form, prided himself on being able to anticipate and react to any threat. Yet Conic's action was beyond anticipation. It was instantaneous, executed before Beerus's mind could even engage. Such feats weren't unheard of in the vast tales of Dragon Ball. Warriors like Hit could launch attacks faster than thought itself. But this was different. Conic's ability seemed to bypass the very process of thought. Acting before Beerus's brain, a godly intellect that processed information at speeds incomprehensible to mortals, could even begin to react. Lord Beerus, a deity not just in title but in prowess, stood among the strongest gods of destruction in history, second only to Arak in his primordial demon god form. His cognitive abilities were beyond that of any mortal, making Conic's feat all the more astounding. With a mere touch, Conic could have obliterated every mortal presence there, yet his focus was solely on Beerus. Why? What made Lord Beerus the target of such a precise and potentially devastating action? Lord Beerus had heard of the ability from Whis a long time ago, but he had never witnessed it. In all his wildest imagination, he could have never predicted that it was this overpowered. In a moment that seemed to defy the very fabric of reality, Conic placed his palm on Lord Beerus's chest, reaching into his very essence, drawing forth an ethereal object that shimmered with the power of the cosmos. The air around them crackled with energy, an electric tension that held every onlooker in rapt attention. As Conic's hand moved away, Lord Beerus's form shifted, his divine presence waning, his body reverting to its base form as if the very source of his power had been stolen. This act was no mere show of strength. It was a revelation. The Grand Priest had previously severed the link between the Kais and their gods of destruction in preparation for the ultimate battle with the Saiyans. Despite this, each god of destruction, including Beerus, had managed to retain the bulk of their divinity, intertwined as it was with their souls. But what Conic had extracted was something far more profound. He had touched his soul, the very essence of Lord Beerus's divinity, a core component of his godly power. As Lord Beerus stumbled, kneeling on the ground, a radiant burst of divine aura exploded from his body, cascading around like a celestial storm. The sight was both awe-inspiring and heart-wrenching, a god brought to his knees, his power unfurling into the void. Why? The word tore from Lord Beerus's throat, a mix of confusion, betrayal, and dawning horror. It wasn't just the physical act of having something so integral taken from him. It was the realization of Conic's intention. By targeting his soul and drawing out his divinity, Conic had made his objective crystal clear. Lord Beerus realized that Conic wants to end his life. "You're a disappointment, a failed god of destruction," Campari declared, his disappointment echoing through the vastness of space. "You had one job, and you couldn't even do that right. Now, look at the state of the universe. Father believes you aren't to blame, but I see things differently. If you had kept those mortals in check, my brother and sister would still be here." Campari's anger was palpable, even within the confines of Conic's temporal domain expansion, where the rules of time and space bent to the will of its master. Despite being surrounded by the power of this unique realm, Campari's own strength was nothing to be underestimated. As an angel, ancient and wise, his power was formidable, a testament to the celestial hierarchy to which he belonged. "Calm down, brother," came Conic's voice, reaching out to Campari with the calmness of the ages, a telepathic whisper in the midst of turmoil. "Remember our limitations. Though we're allowed to use the full extent of our strength, we must control our emotions. Otherwise, we risk being erased from existence, just like Whis." This reminder snapped Campari back to reality, and a sense of composure washed over him. His anger subsided, replaced by the weight of responsibility and the knowledge of what was at stake. Meanwhile, the focus shifted to Lord Beerus, who found himself in an unprecedented predicament. Once a deity of immense power, he was now on his knees, his divine essence stripped away, leaving him mortal. Despite this, he retained his ki, a remnant of his former glory. The realization of his new reality was a heavy burden, and confusion clouded his thoughts. "What do you mean my brother and sister would still be alive?" Lord Beerus demanded, his voice a mix of anger and bewilderment. "Where is Whis? Call him to me now. I have no idea why you're trying to kill me, but if Whis is here, he'll clarify everything." Poor Lord Beerus was utterly bewildered. Sealed away from the cosmos for ages, he had missed the unfolding of countless events, leaving him in the dark about the recent turmoil. The mere mention of Whis stirred a fury within Campari, igniting his wrath anew. He lunged at Lord Beerus, who was still trying to grasp his new reality, unaware of the imminent threat. But just as Campari was about to strike, his attack was halted midair by an unexpected intervention. "Word soul magic," boomed a voice, as Abaddon invoked his spell, "Down, boy." Like commanding a misbehaving pet, he forced the formidable angel to his knees with an authority that belied his demonic nature. Abaddon, the primordial demon god, materialized in front of the bewildered god of destruction like a tempest, his presence commanding and immediate. Thanks to his ability to traverse space via pocket dimension portals, he could appear instantly anywhere he had previously visited. Having battled Lord Beerus and the Z-fighters across the Earth, there was scarcely a location beyond his immediate reach. In a fluid motion, Abaddon moved to apprehend Campari. But before his hand could make contact, Conic intervened. Using his domain expansion, he phased his brother underground, only to reappear beside him, thwarting Abaddon's attempt. Conic eyed his brother with a mix of concern and reprimand. It's unlike you to be so reckless, brother, he said, his tone serious, reflecting the gravity of their situation. Then, unexpectedly, Abaddon burst into laughter. The thrill of combat, after eons sealed within a prison dimension, was invigorating, a joy he hadn't felt in millennia. I do not understand why angels have arrived or why you would seek to harm one of your own. Much has transpired in my absence, it seems. But I cannot allow you to kill him. After all, he must be brought in for questioning, Abaddon declared, his intentions clear but shrouded in mystery.